My wife cheated on me with a man she met at her gym. I didn't find out through messages or walking in on them. I found out because she got pregnant, and the baby didn't look like me. We'd been together for almost 9 years, married for 6, and I genuinely thought she was the one I'd grow old with. Her name is Rachel. She's 28, works part-time as a nutritionist, and started going heavy into fitness a few years back. I'm 30, work full-time in IT, mostly from home, which gave me plenty of time to help out with our daughter and just be present in the relationship, or at least I thought so. We have a 5-year-old daughter named Ellie, or at least I believed she was mine. We had her shortly after we got married, and I never questioned anything. Ellie has my eyes, Rachel's smile, and up until recently, I thought our family was happy. But over the last year, Rachel started acting different, not in an obvious way. It was subtle. Longer workouts, random phone calls she'd take outside, suddenly caring more about what she wore even when she wasn't meeting anyone important. I brought it up once, and she laughed it off, saying she was just trying to take better care of herself. I believed her. I always believed her. That was my first mistake. A few months ago, she told me she was pregnant again. I was surprised, but I was happy. We weren't really planning, but I love being a dad, and it felt like we were in a good enough place for another kid. She seemed weirdly nervous about it, which I chalked up to hormones, but something felt off. The way she avoided eye contact when we talked about names, how she didn't want to tell her parents right away. I didn't push, I just tried to be supportive. When the baby was born, this was just 7 weeks ago, I was in the delivery room, holding her hand, crying with her, but the second I saw the baby, I felt something drop in my stomach. He had dark hair, dark skin, not like mine, not like Rachel's. I'm pale as hell, she's fair, blue-eyed. I knew in that moment something was wrong, but I still tried to push the thought away. For the first few days, I didn't say anything. I told myself maybe genetics were weird, maybe we had something in the family we didn't know about. But then the nurse made a comment about how tam the baby looked for a newborn, joking that he must take after the dad. I forced a laugh, but inside, something just cracked. A week later, when Rachel was asleep, I took a strand of the baby's hair and sent it for a private paternity test. It came back last Monday. 0% match. Not even close. I felt like I couldn't breathe, like I was drowning in my own living room. I didn't confront her right away. I waited 3 days. I don't know why. Maybe I was trying to find the right words. Maybe I just didn't want to explode in front of our daughter. But when I finally did, when I showed her the results and asked her who the father was, she broke down, full on sobbing. And she admitted it. She had been seeing someone she met at her gym for nearly a year, a personal trainer, some guy named Marcus. I didn't even know he existed. She said it started emotionally, but turned physical pretty quickly. She swore she didn't love him, that it was a mistake, that she thought she could end it and move on, and she didn't expect to get pregnant. She said she hoped the baby would look like me and that she could just bury it and pretend it never happened. That's when I realized I didn't know this woman anymore. The person I married, this loyal, kind, sweet woman, was gone. I don't know when she disappeared. I just know she's not the same person, and maybe I'm not either. We didn't talk much the rest of that evening. I just said I needed some air and went out for a drive. My hands were shaking the whole time. I stopped at a gas station, just sat there, engine off, staring at the steering wheel. My thoughts were spinning, heart pounding so hard it felt like I was going to throw up. I kept replaying that damn message over and over in my mind. Who the hell was that guy? How long had it been going on? Did she bring him to our house? Did our daughter ever see him? I got back home close to midnight. She was still awake, sitting on the couch, hugging her knees like a scared kid. When I walked in, she didn't even look up. I didn't say anything either. I just walked past her and went straight to the guest room. That's where I slept that night, and every night after that. The next few days were weird. She tried to act normal, asked if I wanted coffee, if I was hungry, but I couldn't even look at her. I was stuck in a fog. Eventually, she sat down across from me and started to cry.
She said she was sorry, that it was a mistake, that she didn't know what she was thinking. But then she added something that hit me harder than anything. It wasn't just physical. I thought I had feelings for him. That sentence burned a hole in my chest. She didn't just cheat, she fell for him. That's when she told me who he was. His name was Eric. She met him at work. He worked in IT and helped her reset her email password one day. She said they just started talking after that, joked around a bit, sometimes had lunch together in the break room, said he made her laugh, said he listened to her. I asked her how long. She hesitated, then whispered, 5 months. 5 months! My wife had been emotionally and physically involved with another man for almost half a year, and I didn't even notice. I asked her if they'd had sex. She nodded, barely, like a guilty child. I asked her how many times. She said she didn't know. I pressed harder. She finally said maybe 7 or 8 times. And then she broke down crying again. That's when I asked her if it ever happened in our house. She looked me in the eye and shook her head no. Too quickly. I knew right then she was lying. I stood up and just walked away before I lost it. I sat in my car again, just like the night before, but this time I went through our security camera history. I didn't find anything in the usual places, but then I remembered the camera in the garage, the one I'd installed last year when someone broke into a neighbor's car. I scrolled through old footage, and there it was. One Friday afternoon when I was out of town, she brought him in through the side gate, led him into the garage, then they disappeared behind the door that leads into the laundry room. A few minutes later, that door closed again, and they came back out, laughing. She kissed him before he left. I watched that clip about 10 times. My chest was so tight I thought I might pass out. That was my home. Our home. And she defiled it with someone else like it was nothing. That was the moment I stopped crying. I didn't feel sad anymore. I felt nothing. Just cold. That was the turning point. I knew something inside me had snapped and there was no fixing it.
I didn't tell her about the footage right away. I just saved the clip to my phone and started planning. That same night, I called my best friend, Dan. We've known each other since college, and I trust him more than anyone. I told him everything. He didn't even try to stay neutral. He called her a selfish piece of shit and offered to let me crash at his place for as long as I needed. I didn't say yes yet, but it felt good knowing I had a backup. The next morning, she made pancakes like it was just another Sunday. She even poured my coffee. I didn't touch it. I looked at her and asked, "Did he ever meet our daughter?" Her face went pale. She said no, of course not. I asked again slower this time, "Are you absolutely sure?" She nodded and whispered, "Yes, I'd never let that happen." I wanted to believe her, but at this point, I didn't believe anything that came out of her mouth. I started paying attention to everything. Her phone habits, where she kept her keys, when she left and came back. I wasn't looking to catch her again. I just needed more pieces for the puzzle I'd been too blind to notice before. That week, I picked up our daughter from school one day and asked her, gently, if Mommy ever had visitors when Daddy was away. She just said no and kept talking about her art class. That made me feel a bit better, but still. That night, I finally confronted her with the footage. I didn't say a word, just handed her my phone and hit play. She watched the whole 45 seconds in silence. No excuses, no crying, just silence. When the clip ended, she handed the phone back to me and said, "I'm sorry. That's it. Just sorry." Not I was stupid or I regret everything. Just that one cold-ass word. I lost it. I yelled. I threw the phone across the room. I told her she disrespected me, our home, our daughter, everything we built together. I told her she disgusted me. She just stood there. Didn't cry, didn't scream back, just took it. I think that made me even angrier. I needed a reaction. I needed her to show some actual shame. After I calmed down, I told her I'd be moving into Dan's place for a while. She asked me if we were separating. I told her I didn't know yet, but I couldn't be around her right now. I packed a bag and left that night. Dan was waiting with a beer and a half-empty pizza box. We talked for hours. I told him everything, even the small details I hadn't said out loud yet, like how I'd noticed she started shaving more often out of nowhere a few months ago,
or how she started locking her phone when she used to leave it wide open on the table. I told him how I'd gaslighted myself into thinking I was just paranoid. He nodded through all of it, didn't judge, just let me unload. That first night at Dan's, I slept like a rock. No nightmares, no tossing and turning, just darkness. It was the first time in weeks I didn't wake up with my heart racing, but the real pain started the next morning when I FaceTimed my daughter and she asked when I was coming home. I didn't have an answer. I told her soon. I hated myself for saying that. I didn't know what soon meant anymore.
3 days after I left, she sent me a long text. It wasn't an apology, it was a list of justifications. She wrote that she felt lonely, like I wasn't emotionally available, that I had become cold and distant since our daughter was born. She said it wasn't planned, that the affair just happened, and she felt seen by him. I didn't reply. I didn't even finish reading it. I screenshotted it, saved it in a folder labeled divorce, and moved on. But then something strange happened. My sister called me. She lives across the country and barely gets involved in anything. She said she got a weird message on Facebook from a woman she didn't know, someone claiming to be involved with my wife's coworker, the guy from the video. The woman apparently saw my wife and him at some cabin 2 months ago. She didn't say anything back then because she thought he was single, but after doing some digging, she realized he wasn't. And when she saw photos of my wife on my sister's profile, she pieced it all together. That hit me like a truck. My wife had taken time off last winter for a girls' weekend. She even posted fake photos of her and her friend at a spa. Turns out that spa doesn't even exist. I checked. I asked Dan if he remembered that weekend. He did. I had taken care of our daughter alone and even helped her with a school project. The whole time, she was in some mountain cabin getting railed by her coworker. That was the moment it fully broke for me. The trust, the memory of our life together, even the good parts, they all felt fake after that. And I knew I could never go back. So I called a lawyer. That same afternoon, I sat down and wrote a letter to my daughter. She's too young now, but someday, when she's older and starts asking questions, I want her to hear it from me, not from twisted stories or awkward silences. I told her the truth, gently, that her mom and I had problems, that adults sometimes fail each other, but that none of it was her fault. I said I'd always love her, no matter what. That night I drove back to the house. I didn't go inside, I stayed in the car and texted her that I wanted to talk. She came out looking tired, not sad, just tired. I told her I was filing. She nodded, like she'd been expecting it. I asked one final question. Was he the only one? She hesitated. Just for a second, but long enough. Yes, she said. I didn't believe her. And I realized in that moment, it didn't matter anymore. Whether it was one guy or 3, the result was the same. The foundation was gone. I told her I'd stay involved in our daughter's life, but beyond that, I was done. She tried to hug me. I stepped back. She looked like she wanted to say something else, but I didn't give her the chance. I got in the car and drove off. But then something strange happened. The next day, I got a call from HR at my wife's job. Apparently, the company had launched an internal investigation. Someone had reported her and the coworker after a photo surfaced of them kissing in the office parking lot. That was 2 months ago. This wasn't just about me. She was reckless everywhere. After the HR call, everything snowballed fast. A week later, I got a message from her. I've been suspended. I didn't respond. The company didn't disclose much, but from what I gathered, it wasn't just about her and the guy. There were other red flags. Unprofessional behavior, misuse of travel funds, maybe more. That was her world falling apart now, not mine. Still, part of me felt something, not guilt, not pity exactly, but a heaviness. This was the woman I built a life with. We used to lay awake whispering about our dreams, make stupid jokes in grocery store aisles, hold each other during funerals and pregnancies, and now, just fallout. I finalized the divorce paperwork without needing to see her again. Our daughter is staying with me most weeks. She visits her mom on alternate weekends. I never speak badly about her mother in front of her. She doesn't understand everything yet, just that mom and dad don't live together now, and that she has 2 beds, 2 homes, 2 routines.
Kids are so damn resilient. Sometimes I wonder if they're stronger than us. I got a therapist. I started going to the gym again. I've been talking to friends I hadn't seen in years. And slowly, like rust flaking off old metal, I began to feel something I hadn't felt in a long time. Myself. Just me. Not the husband, not the betrayed man, just me. I still don't know the full extent of what she did. Maybe I never will. That part used to haunt me, eat at me like 1,000 tiny needles of doubt. But now I realize it doesn't matter. What matters is that I saw enough. I knew enough. I left. I protected my daughter. I protected my peace. That's what matters. The last time I saw her, really saw her, was 2 weeks ago at our daughter's dance recital. She was standing alone by the side wall, wearing a red coat I bought her 3 years ago. I don't think she noticed me watching. She looked older, not in age, but in spirit. Tired in a way I can't describe. When our daughter finished, she ran to me first, threw her arms around my neck, and smiled that huge gap-toothed grin of hers. My ex stood a few feet away, waiting. Our daughter turned and waved to her, and in that moment, there was no hate, just sadness, just acceptance. We nodded at each other. That was it. I don't know if she'll ever be sorry in the way I needed. I don't think she's capable of it, but I've stopped waiting for that. This post was my closure. Writing it all out, sharing it, reliving it, this was my way of letting go. I'm not bitter anymore, not angry. I'm just ready to live again. If you've read all of this, thank you. Seriously. Thank you for your time, for your empathy, for letting me feel heard in a world where I felt invisible for so long. For those of you who reached out privately with your own stories, thank you for your honesty. If you're going through something similar, I just want to say, you're not crazy, you're not weak, and you're not alone. Leaving isn't failure. Sometimes it's the bravest damn thing you'll ever do. Be good to yourselves. Take care of your kids, your heart, and your peace. That's all that matters. This is the end of my story. I'll be logging off now. Wishing you all healing, truth, and something better ahead. Goodbye.